Tomorrow we have the release of Persona 5 Royal, and if you are a fan of Japanese RPGs, hell, if you're a fan of well-made video games, you should be incredibly excited for this release. Now, I imagine a large portion of you have already played Persona 5, so maybe from a decision-making process, you're of the mindset, hey, should I pick up Persona 5 Royal right away? $59.99 is quite a bit for a game. We've got Resident Evil 3 coming out later this week. We've got the Final Fantasy VII Remake coming out next week, and I'm not here to make your video game buying decisions for you. At the end of the day, $60 is a lot, and with all of these games coming out, I can understand why any of those three games you're gonna forgo on for the moment being, especially with everything and the craziness that is going on in the world right now. But Persona 5 Royal, for JRPG fans, you should be very, very excited for the game. The reviews have come out for it, and they are looking incredibly strong, and I want to give you guys an overview of what to expect out of the game. Now, first of all, if you are not completely familiar with Persona, and Persona 5 was your first foray into the franchise, you might see Persona 5 Royal as a little bit of a cash grab. The fact of the matter is, it is $60, you can't buy it as a DLC extension to Persona 5, and you might see it as more of a remaster or re-release because that has become so commonplace in gaming. I think if Persona 5 Royal in your eyes is getting a bad rap because of that, that is the only reason, because re-releases, remasters, and all of those things have become such commonplace that yes, the perception of it is a little bit negative. However, don't get it twisted with Persona. It must be made abundantly clear that the Persona re-releases are so much more than all of the other remasters and things of that sort that you play. I should say the majority. Some developers do go above and beyond, but really with Persona 5 Royal, it could be seen as an entirely new game. While other games are going to offer you a couple of DLC packages here and there or whatever the case may be, Persona 5 Royal is adding a ton, and it's just the same and even more so than what happened with Persona 3 and Persona 4. This isn't the first time Persona has had an extended release. We got that with Persona 3 with Persona 3 FES, and that legitimately added 30 to 40 hours of content. And then Persona 4 Golden, while it was only on the PlayStation Vita, that was a sizable extension to the Persona 4 universe as well, and that was very much worth a playthrough. Although, it should also be mentioned, I believe Persona 3 FES released at $30, and Persona 4 Golden as a PlayStation Vita title released at $40, or maybe it was $50. Neither of the games were $60, so I can understand, yes, $59.99 is quite the price to pay, but also be of the mindset that Persona 5 is arguably the greatest Japanese RPG of all time. A sizably extended version of that game is absolutely warranting its $60 price point. Do not get it twisted. Atlus has always been very good to their consumer, at least in the case of Persona, and they're doing it once again with Persona 5 Royal. So what can you expect out of Persona 5 Royal? Well, you can expect new characters being integrated into the midst of the story. These are new characters adding a wealth of new content to the story. On top of that, you've got a third semester. Yes, that third semester alone is going to add a significant amount of content, and there are a lot of information, and there is a lot of information online, but to avoid the specifics and spoilers because this is such a narrative-heavy game, I'll forego on that. And then you also have a reborn Persona 5 experience and a more robust Persona 5 experience. School life has been enhanced. The student life is further enhanced with a new city areas, a Darts Live collaboration, and much more. A popular spot in Tokyo, Kichijoji, is a new area players can visit with a mix of new and old various cultures and personalities clash in this area that attracts men and women of all ages. Again, it's a Darts Live collaboration. You've got a new darts machine, and you've got so many other new spots. You've got memories and photographs. New strategies are required for battle as well. Experience an even more exciting double life as a phantom thief. Something strange is happening in the jail cell. You've got mysterious treasures. There's a lot of components that have been added to the game to refine the overall Persona 5 experience. And when you actually think about that, if you've played Persona 5, the idea should be Persona 5 is already a very well-rounded experience, a very robust experience. The fact that they're able to make it even better from a fundamental standpoint, I think that says a lot about the quality level or the expected quality level out of Persona 5 Royal, and we'll go into the reviews in a second. But nonetheless, adding content to an already content-filled game and an already very well-made game obviously sets the table for an even better game, and you've got even more additions with assist commands, with the status assist and co-op assist features. You can get various school life suggestions. The ease of play has been remarkably improved, and just making it a more streamlined experience. Again, those are user interface additions that might not be something that is heavily promoted or heavily talked about, but again, they've went above and beyond to create a more compelling and engaging experience, and I think they should be rewarded for that, and that should deserve a mention. On top of that, you've got countless new songs from sound composer Shojo Meguro, comes countless new songs. The vocals for the opening, ending, battle music, and more are of course sung by Lin, and you've got PlayStation 4 Pro support. The graphics have been enhanced, and what I loved about Persona 5 is that maybe necessarily it's not the most technically impressive game that was released this generation, like comparatively speaking to a Red Dead Redemption 2. However, right from the get-go, it's a game that while it was released on the PlayStation 3, so that's going to have its inherent limitations, what it does so well is it has an awesome art style, and art style is something that's never going to age. You can have technical brilliance out of a game, but at some point, someday, that game is going to age, and it's not going to look as visually pleasing. I'm not saying Persona 5 is going to be graphically pleasing for the entire remainder of our lives. However, a game like this has a lot more longevity, and that's why I always tout games with good art styles to be something very remarkable. You look at a game like Bastion, that's a game that has aged magnificently, even though it's been out since like 2008 to 2009. But nonetheless, for you visual freaks out there, the graphics have been enhanced. With PlayStation 4 Pro, you can experience an even more beautiful Persona 5 with greater detail and higher resolution for maximum realism. And of course, along with that, a lot of other content is being included as well. That idea of the third semester, I'm not going to go into it in depth, but that is adding a sizable amount of content as well. But the reviews are also coming out, the Western reviews, I should say, because this game came out in Japan back in October of last year, specifically on Halloween. Right now, the Metascore is a staggering 95, which makes it one of the best reviewed games of the entire console generation. So right away, you can see it's being received very, very well. Daily Star gave it a perfect score, saying, "The statement 'you can't rush perfection' has never been truer when it comes to Persona 5 Royal. The story is a slow burn, but with emotional payoffs. The enhancements and additions have been made to feel naturally and fully integrated into the rest of the game systems," which is so important because you can tack on content, but the fact they've integrated into the core of Persona 5 makes it even more enticing, and even more enticing for a second playthrough, which might be a little bit daunting to some people as it is such a grandiose game. However, you are getting a legitimately new experience here as well. Daily Star continued by saying, "Persona 5 Royal is a shining example of how to reinvigorate a game. It's a love letter to fans and a fantastic entry point for newcomers. Simply put, Persona 5 Royal isn't just one of the best JRPGs of this generation, it's one of the best games released in recent memory." And I feel like I really should stop using the label and the simplifier of JRPG, or I should say specifier of JRPG, because Persona 5 really stands out on its own. Yes, it does have some Japanese tropes, and it is Japanese in aesthetic, but that just adds to the overall presentation of the game, and we can just judge it for what it is, and that's an excellent video game. That's what Persona 5 has always been. Screen Rant gave it a perfect score as well, saying, "Is Persona 5 Royal enough to justify purchasing a game fans have already played? Yes, the amount of change brought to the title is significant, and it all feels like a marked improvement. For a game that was already one of the best JRPGs in recent years, Persona 5 Royal is a follow-up that cements itself as an experience well worth repeating in lieu of a proper Persona sequel. We'll get Persona 6 eventually, but these games take a significant amount of time to develop, so for now, getting an advanced version of Persona 5 is something that I'll completely eat up." Sixth Axis also gave the game a perfect score, touting, "Persona 5 Royal is a stunning game that takes something which has already captured millions of hearts and makes it even better. This is the quintessential Persona experience. If you're new to the franchise, this game is for you. If you're a seasoned veteran, there is enough new and improved content that this game is still for you." And I want to read one more review from God is a Geek. "For those that have already enjoyed the original game, this is a fan's dream with everything you could wish for and more, with nearly every aspect improved upon, a spellbinding video game and one that deserves to be spoken about in reverential terms for many years to come." So that is very, very high praise. And let me add to the fact that maybe Persona 5 is a game for whatever reason you missed out on. Maybe you're not the biggest fan of Japanese RPGs. I implore you, based on a variety of different elements with Persona, it's not typically that JRPG that I'll go to immediately as a gateway JRPG, but it is such a well-designed game and it is done at such a high level that even if you're not a fan of Japanese games, it is produced at such an incredibly high level that I feel like everyone can appreciate a lot of the elements of Persona 5. And yes, it is an expansive experience, but it's an experience that's engrossing at all times. It's varied at all times. It's got a strong narrative. It's got great gameplay. It's got great presentation styles. It's got great music. It's got varied gameplay as well, with a lot of mini games and a lot of other content, off-putting the general monotony had you been doing the same stuff over and over again. Persona 5 always feels fresh, and that's incredible to say for a game that's north of 100 hours long, maybe well over that, especially with Royal. Very few games can achieve something like that. And again, if you've never played Persona 5, this is the best jumping point. This is one of the must-buys of the generation if you're in that boat. And even if you've already played Persona 5, you probably know how great the game is, so you're probably doubly excited as opposed to the people that just have heard about Persona 5 through word of mouth, but they've never really experienced the game for themselves. Again, the game is sitting at a 95 on Metacritic right now. It will be out tomorrow. Yes, it's $59.99. I would say buy it right away. However, obviously, there are so many games coming out within the next few weeks, whether it be Persona 5 Royal, Final Fantasy VII Remake, Resident Evil 3, Last of Us Part 2 is right around the corner. There's going to be a lot of games to buy, and I know some of you guys are working with a little bit of a budget, and spending $59.99 on a game is always a little bit of a hard sell, especially with all of the deals we cover, but nonetheless, Persona 5 Royal I do think is going to be one of those games that's ultimately worth the asking price. So that's going to conclude this video. Wanted to gush about this game for an entire video, but sound off with all of your thoughts in the comment section. Are you buying it right away? Are you gonna wait for a deeper discount? Are there too many games to play right now? Definitely interested to hear what you guys think, so sound off down below. Thank you for watching, and goodbye. Hey guys, we hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, make sure to hit the subscribe button, and if you're already subscribed, do us a favor and hit the bell icon. This way you'll be notified whenever we post a new video. That's the best way to keep up with all of our uploads, and we usually try to upload 2 videos a day. And with the bell icon hit, you'll be notified whenever we do upload a video. As always, thanks for watching.